we have next a second-time AE&C Showcase presenter, and that is Patrick Yanke. Now, Patrick, we had our showcase last year. I'm going to tell you a quick story about him. We said that speakers needed to be here at 7 a.m., and he was in this room at 6:45 a.m. He said, it matters to be on time. And I learned just now from Patrick, I asked him, what's a fun fact? He said, well, Evan, you should tell them that I'm a glutton for punishment. I said, oh, okay, well, is it about getting up early in the morning? He said, no, rather, Evan, he said, I completed basic training in the Army. And then as a glutton for punishment, I turned around and then completed basic training in the U.S. Air Force. So 2 basic trainings back to back, and now I understand why he was here at 6:45 a.m. So helping us think through servant leadership, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Yanke.
Good morning. And as he said, I am a glutton for punishment. But I've experienced leadership. I've experienced training. After getting out of the Air Force, I actually joined with a Fortune 500 company and had world-class training in the civilian world as well. I understand leadership. And I want to share with you some principles of leadership. And the most important thing that I've learned in leadership is it's always important to know who you're serving. Who's your customer? What are your customers' needs? If you understand your customer and your industry, you're going to make the right decisions. And the first thing that a leader has to understand is their mission. Years ago, there was a golfer, Ben Hogan. And he was lined up on the 18th hole, and he was prepared to at least force this golf tournament into a playoff. All he had to do was take a layup, get it on the green, put it in, and he's got a chance at tying the tournament and pouring it into a playoff. So he's standing there, and he's considering, he's smoking. Years ago, right? Can smoke on TV. He's smoking, he's looking at this, and the announcers are saying, what is there to consider? You try to get it on the green, you don't make it, tournament's over. You take the layup, you put it on the green, you force it to playoff, and you have a chance to win. After a while of considering, flicks his cigarette, takes his club, lines up his shot, whack, into the water. He lost the tournament. He went for it, and he lost. So as you can imagine, the announcers come up to him afterward in the locker room and say, what were you thinking, dude? You had a chance to win the tournament. And he looked at him very sternly and said, who am I? You're Ben Hogan. Who am I? You're Ben Hogan. That's right. People came out today to see Ben Hogan. I gave them Ben Hogan. It's a man who understands his industry, right? Golf isn't about winning golf tournaments. It's entertainment. People were there to see him play and not take it safe. They wanted to see Ben Hogan go for it, and he gave him that. His industry is entertainment. He understands his industry. And we as leaders have to understand our industry. Do we have to be the best widget maker in our job? No. That's where people come in. Those are the people that we lead to do the job that's important. But we are devoted to the mission. We can never divorce ourselves from the mission. We lead people in doing the mission. We don't get to step back and say, that's your job now, do we? Now, there are some principles in leadership that are very important when it comes to leading people. And the first one is communication. You have to share the mission. If you're the one that's devoted to the mission, has to make sure the mission gets done, you have to be the one to share the mission. So do your people know the mission? Because if they don't, it's your fault. Consequently, they're going to understand the mission, and they're going to share it back to you. Do they know their mission in your organization? There has to be that give and take. Communication doesn't mean I tell you what to do. Communication means we talk about what needs to be done. Communication is very important. Next, we have to accompany them. We have to be in the trenches with them. We have to be the one that sets the example. You want them to show up early? Be there before them. You want them to stay late? Don't let them be the one locking the doors. You want them to dress smartly? You dress better. You are the example. You're the one they're going to look up to for how things should be done. And you can find plenty of organizations where the people at the top don't understand that principle, and it flows downhill and standards fall. You have to set the example. No man is fit to command another who cannot command himself. If you're not disciplined in and of yourself, you're not going to be disciplined in dealing with others. It starts with you. Leadership always starts with you. Then there's responsibility. You have responsibility that you can't delegate. The mission has to get done. It's all on you, right? It will get done, and if it's not done, it's on you. But you also have to give responsibility and allow people to have their sphere of influence and the things that they need to do. When that person comes to you and says, I failed, we want to kill the messenger, don't we? You failed. Now I'm not going to get the mission done. Whose responsibility is it? It's yours. Maybe it was poor training. Maybe they weren't the right person for the job. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to kill the messenger, you're going to kill your best employee. Because that person who failed, if they honestly tried and failed, they're now your best trained employee. And if you get rid of that person, you're going to have to hire someone else to replace them, build them up to that position where they can fail too. Or recognize this person has now become your best employee, and you take care of that person and give them the training they need. You also are responsible for planning for the future. You have to help the organization evolve. You have to grow your organization. You have to grow your people. We have a tendency that we as leaders, we look at the people under us and say, you're really good at making widgets. I want to put you in charge of the widget making part of the business. Leadership is its own skill set. Would you agree with that? That means that your best widget maker isn't necessarily your best leader, right? You have to train your people. You have to plan for the future, not just for yourself, but for them. And say, I want you to become a leader. I'm going to train you to be a leader. You can't just say that now you're suddenly in charge and tomorrow, by the way, all this is on you. No. Train your people, raise them up, build the leaders of tomorrow. Because we're no longer in an environment where we stay in the same job all the way through, right? Or even with the same company. We carry our portfolio with us and we move from company to company. You're not always going to be with this organization, but if you care about the future of this organization, then you better plan for the future of that organization and build up the leaders that are come after you. And it's not just the best technicians. It's those that have leadership potential. It's those that others look to do the right thing. Those are your potential leaders, not just your best technicians. And then, when all that's said and done, it's time to serve. Now the mission's getting done. You don't just sit back and say, well, I communicated. I set the example. I gave responsibility. I've taken my own responsibility, and I planned for the future. It's time to go play golf. No, now you serve. And you look to your people and you say, what is it you need from me to do your job? And why is that not advancing? There we go. You can't just talk the talk. You have to walk the walk. You can't just tell them what needs to be done. You have to lead them in doing it. You can't just go out there and say, this is how you're going to do your job, and then step back without giving them the tools and the training to do their job. You talk the talk and you walk the walk as a leader. You have to serve them as they do the job, as they accomplish the mission. So when you put all this together, what you find is that the servant leader has to care about the mission and the people. That's the magic. It's that simple. If you take nothing away from this, if you care about the mission that you're here to do, and if you care about the people that you serve, you're going to do these things. You understand that. We understand it intrinsically. But the problem that we run into isn't that people don't want to accomplish the mission. It's that people don't want to get involved. We understand the carrot and stick approach, right? Well, the stick approach is really easy. Everyone understands a stick. Do this or else. I've got a stick here, and I'm going to beat you with this stick. Do this, or I dock your pay. Do this, or you're fired. That's the stick approach. We understand that. Everyone understands that. I don't have to explain the stick approach to you because you understand it intrinsically. But everyone's carrot is different. And if you're going to actually take the carrot approach and lead people forward, you have to understand your people. You have to understand what drives them. You have to understand what their goals are and their dreams are and how you can help them realize them. That makes you have to get involved and get to know your people. You have to care. And that's the hard part. So communication. You have to be able to tell them what needs to be done, ask them for their input, and you have to inspire them. Inspire your people to make good choices in the business. You have to be among your people, accomplishing the mission with them. Be impeccable in the example they can look up to, and inspire them. Getting a general theme here, aren't we? Responsibility. You got to give the responsibility you can. You have to instruct them on what needs to be done, and you need to inspire them. Your job as a leader is to inspire. In the evolution of your company and the people, you have to look ahead. You have to plan for what comes next. In the facilities, in the markets that we serve, in the people that we hire, in how we train, and look at the future of the people you're working with and help them get there. Share with them what is the mission. Share with them what is the future of this organization. And when it's all said and done, serve. Identify the needs, give from a heart of service, and then inspire your future leaders. Caring means love. And love is giving of yourself to others that are greater than you, putting their needs ahead of your own. Be a giving person. Be a leader who cares. And inspire your people. There we go. There was the last slide. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.